Aloha everyone, it's Jessica Oyanagi with Home Sweet Maui Realty, and I'm coming to you from my home in upcountry Maui today. I'm here to share my top 5 tips with you on moving to the island of Maui. I created this YouTube channel to share my Maui life with you. If you're looking for a realtor on the island of Maui, please check out the description below. I've included all of my contact information there. And if you find value in this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. The number one thing that you need to know about moving to Maui is that it really is like living in a small town. This island is only 727 miles long. This means that you will end up meeting people, seeing them all over the island, and starting to feel like your community is really your ohana. Crime is very low on Maui just because we live in such a close, tight-knit community, and people are truly forced to get along whether they like it or not. Living the majority of my life on the mainland, I'm always constantly pleased and surprised by how much this community truly does work together. Let me give you a prime example of what I mean about community working together here on Maui. One time we had a storm that was so severe that it knocked out all of the power on the entire island. It only took the crews here 24 hours to get all the power restored on the entire island. I was shocked. Coming from living in Seattle, where power outages would take days and days, if sometimes not weeks, to actually fix, it just showed you how the community pulled together. I mean, we had workers who were like off shift, working around the clock to get things back up and running. And it really makes me feel that our community values each other a lot living here. Everyone here is truly each other's ohana, or family. My children are growing up calling all of the friends that we know auntie or uncle, and you cannot go to the grocery store, to Costco, to the beach. You can't really go anywhere without running into someone that you know. So if you enjoy living in a community that is tight-knit, where you get together for barbecues every weekend and you really get to know each other like family, then Maui is the place for you. Now, on the flip side of this, if you are someone who is used to having every convenience at your fingertips, Maui may not be the place for you. Most of the daily goods that people use are imported to our island on cargo ships. So this means if you're looking for like an extra special food item or a gift, or I'm a photographer, sometimes if I need to get lenses repaired or something like that, you're going to need to get those services done or order those items off island. And so you just have to be prepared that, you know, not everything is ready at the drop of a dime. Amazon actually just recently opened a facility on Oahu, so things are coming a lot quicker than they used to. But you kind of get just used to like a slower pace of life when it comes to like getting what you want when you want it. All of that being said, I would not trade island life for anything. The number 2 thing that you need to know is that there are a lot of jobs here on Maui that are based in tourism. So if you're someone who has a background in hospitality of any kind, you are going to be able to find a job here. There are plenty of resorts, hotels, tour companies that are always looking for people with that kind of experience from the mainland to come and work here. Maui doesn't really have any major like tech companies or production companies or anything along those lines. So it's a little bit harder to find jobs in those realms. However, I will say if you have a skilled trade, my husband is a welder and he found work no problem because we don't have as many skilled tradesmen as they do on the mainland. Another job area that we're always looking for help in here on Maui is the services industry. So if you are a doctor or a nurse or a firefighter, a police officer, a teacher, we are always looking for great qualified applicants to come fulfill those positions here on Maui. I've lived here for 5 years, and as long as I've been here, we've always been hiring in those areas. The last job category that you should consider for this tip is virtual work. Since the pandemic and so many more people are working virtually, there are actually influxes of people moving to Maui because they can work anywhere in the world, and why wouldn't you want to work in paradise? My number 3 tip for moving to Maui is to do your research before you move across the ocean. When my family and I moved here, we had 2 young children who were 3 and 9 months old. We had a 12-year-old dog and we had a 10-year-old cat. We had a whole house full of household goods on the mainland. So there was a lot of research that we had to do before making the leap. And I would say, you can Google moving to Maui and these things will come up. My personal recommendation would be that you take inventory of everything that you want to move to Maui. I have known people that simply packed up a backpack, put it on their back, got on the airplane, and moved to Maui. However, for us, because we had children and pets and household goods, we ended up using Matson to ship quite a few of those items over. So we shipped our cars, which you have to ship separately from your household goods. We also filled a container with all of our household belongings, personal belongings, and we ship them over, and there is a cost associated with that. So be sure to educate yourself on what those costs are and what the procedures are that are required by the company or companies that you use to ship those items over. If you have pets and you plan to bring them to Maui, there are some extra special steps that you will need to take and consider for your timeline leading up to your move. So, there have never been any recorded cases of rabies on any of the Hawaiian Islands. And the reason for this is because we've done a very good job keeping protocols in place to keep this from happening. So this means that if you have a pet who is not updated on their rabies vaccines, they will need to get up to date before they move to Maui. In addition to getting your pets vaccinated for rabies, you will also need to have blood work done and tested by the CDC showing that your pet definitely does not have rabies before they enter the state of Hawaii. It used to be that pets would have to quarantine for many months when they arrived in Hawaii before they could be released to their owners. When we moved here 5 years ago, it was just like a couple hours that they needed to quarantine, and now I hear that they can actually do direct release at the airport. So that process has been improved over time and is quite a bit easier. However, if your pets haven't been vaccinated, and even if they have, it still takes time, weeks if not months, to go through the process of them being tested and getting their rabies certificate before you can move to Maui. Even though there are a few hoops that you'll need to jump through before moving to Maui, it's totally worth it. I just got myself a big binder, kept all of my paperwork and planning for the move in one place, and if I can do it with 2 small children, a dog, a cat, a husband, and a whole container worth of household goods, then you can definitely do it too. Okay, tip number 4 that I have for moving to Maui is that you will become what's called aina once you move here. And that term actually means children, or children of the land, the earth. So that means that you're gonna be part of this island when you arrive. And one very big perk that some people don't know about living in Hawaii is that you will also receive aina discounts. So you're gonna get major discounts on fun activities that tourists would not. So let's say you want to go stay at a hotel or go on a whale watch or eat at a really high-end restaurant. If you just show your Hawaii state ID, you will usually get a discount. This is just one of the many perks of living in paradise. Tip number 5 for the things that you need to know about moving to Maui is just to do your research on the different neighborhoods that there are to live in on Maui. Most people live on the west side of the island. So you have what's traditionally called the west side, which is the Lahaina area. Lahaina has things like Front Street that has tons of restaurants and shopping. The tourists love to go there. There's also Whalers Village that has lots of high-end resorts, also more restaurants and shopping. And then there's a little cozy town where my sister lives in Napili or Hanakauai area that's just north of that. That's also really cool because you get to get away from the tourists, but you also have beautiful beaches and some more local restaurants and I don't know, just a more relaxed vibe up there. Another neighborhood that a lot of people end up living in when they first move to Maui is the Kihei Wailea area. This area is much more relaxed than Lahaina. Still has tourists, but it's a little more spread out with the restaurants and the shopping, and there are so many beautiful, really great beaches in the area. What I love about Kihei and Wailea are all the amazing lava rocks. There are lava rocks on almost every beach, and it just makes for, I don't know, extra dynamic and dramatic scenery. And you can really see all of the neighboring islands when you go to that area as well. So we lived there for a few years and we loved it. Another very affordable neighborhood that most people end up living in is Kahului. And there are some really cool up in Wailuku area, old buildings that have been there for a really long time, really cool old plantation style homes. You've got the Iao Valley and the Iao Needle if you wanted to go explore more like jungle, lush landscape. And of course, all of the major day-to-day shopping that we do is in Kahului. So if you want your Costco, you want your Target runs, your Whole Foods, that is where everybody goes to shop. Of course, there's always Paia Town. We kind of consider it a little bit of like a hippie surf town vibe there. More shops, more restaurants. Tourists love to stop there on the road to Hana. It's the first major stop as you're going east. There are also magnificent beaches over there. Those beaches have very crystal clear blue water. They can tend to be a little bit windier, but if you're into windsurfing or anything like that, then you will love it. And the last major neighborhood on Maui that I live in is Upcountry Maui. From up here, you can't see it right now maybe, but there are some stunning views of the water and Haleakala up to the other side. And it's just very mellow here. You have Makawao Town, which isn't far. I live in Kula, and Makawao Town also has more shops and restaurants, art galleries, and it used to be an old cowboy town, so it just has this really cool vibe. I used to live in Seattle, and we always kind of call it like the Pacific Northwest of Maui, just because it tends to be a little cooler up here, a little more rain, and it's nice because you're only 20 minutes from town or the beach. If you want to go get warm or go shopping, you have that at your disposal. But upcountry is just where it's at for my family and I. So that's it for my top 5 tips on everything that you need to know about moving to Maui. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give me a like and subscribe. And if you're looking for a realtor on Maui, again, my contact information is in the description below. You can email me at info@homesweetmaui.com or give me a call at 808-344-5100, and I look forward to seeing you on the Valley Isle. Aloha!